G'day everyone, welcome along, welcome to the Valley Challenge. We are here with Gille in the yard. As you can see, since last time we've moved into September. He collected up a bit of the hay, and whilst it's a bit hard to see under there, he did put a plastic sheet down, but the hay that we made ended up to create a bigger pile than he expected. There's probably not quite as much there as you might think, but nonetheless that was the best spot he could think of. And carrying on from last time, you'll remember we bought a couple of cows. He's keen to give them a little bit of straw bedding, so plan is to start out by heading over to the store. He's done a heap of thinking since last time, and you sort of really gained some energy from the actually getting started last time. And whilst the challenge ahead, which you'll recall is all about making $1 million before within 5 years so that he can set his mum up in the bakery, he's kind of got a bit of an approach which at least starts to break the problem down into manageable pieces. Now the question is, if we head down here, I think pretty sure we can get to the shop by the road. We can. We could have cut through our field, but it doesn't hurt. And one of the things he's concluded is, you can see there, we've still got grass to pick up, and he's kind of pondering what to do about that. But there's a harvester up here on the side. It's pretty clear from a cash flow perspective, we need to be taking a contract here and there where we can. And so whilst he doesn't have much in the way of farming experience, he has signed up for a contract for some sorghum on field 10, which is quite close by. And what he's thinking, and we might just duck into the store for a minute. And we'll come back to what he's thinking in just a sec. So we need to pick up, he's thinking a couple of bales of straw, one for our little garden, which requires straw as an input. And even though it's $1,400, hopefully they will last a little while. He was hoping that he might be able to get a crop to harvest where he could pick up, or at least do a deal on a little bit of the straw, but turns out the window for all of those crops has closed. The other thing we need, if we come into bale loaders here, I think we'll find, yeah, there we go, a fork, and that $200 one looks pretty good. 1,000 is more money than we have, so we'll give this guy a whirl. 200, and hopefully now that means we can pick up, if we can get to it, these bales. But yeah, what he was hoping was a crop where he could get some leftover, you know, just a little bit to start off the chickens, in the same way as we just took a couple of cows to get our cows started. And hopefully with this on here, if we lower you down, we might be able to be gently able to pick up these bales. Which way does that go? That tilts. So I've got a little bit of mouse control here, but my joystick just operates. And if we, I'm doubting if we have any straps. No, we don't. It was a pretty cheap hook, so if we drive back carefully, our field's right next door, I think we can take a shortcut with the bales on, and we'll get these straw bales delivered to where they're going. Yeah, what he's hoping is he can have a little bit left over from the crop to do to put in the chicken coop, and that'll at least give us some something for the chickens, but also potentially there might even be enough to make some flour. It's kind of a real long shot, to be honest, but it was worth thinking about. And when he saw this contract come up in the local directory for field 10, it was just too good to pass up, to be honest. So what we're going to do now, the interesting test here, whoop, that was convenient, that kind of fell off in just the right spot. And let's run around to our garden and have a quick look at that. So our garden here requires plenty of straw, and it kind of uses it on a 1-for-1 basis. So this is 5,000 litres. So how fast do we produce? We only produce, it's not the world's fastest garden, which is okay. I guess it's not very big, but it's going to produce and if I remember our values, we'll check those in a minute, but basically 300 to 400 litres a month. So a 5,000 litre bale is going to last like a year. So if we drop you off there, how do we get you off? Like that. With any luck, we're in the trigger, are we not? Maybe. Might have to look where the straw trigger is here. Or does it need to be loose straw is going to be the question. If so, we need to be able to cut bales. Let's have a look. And we're not in the straw trigger, which would be why it's not working. So what we learn is we've got to put it in the right spot. That better? Are we still not there? Nope. Let's try bumping it down. There we go. So just got to bump it into the trigger and we're fine. So we should have now some straw in the garden. And we do. So we just need some pallets. We might worry about that a bit later. I'm sure you can buy them at the shop. I seem to recall we had some over at the mill. And for now, I'd just like to get this bedding in with the cows. I seem to recall Gille saw a couple of pallets over there the other day when he was... Let's just lift you up and then back you up. Hopefully you'll go in here well as also. Let's see here. Get that off there. This might need to be shredded, but we'll look. Yeah, it looks like it probably does. So we'll come back and sort that out. For now, I think it's time to run over and get started with our harvest. So some nice new gear here. The contract that we've taken is on field 10, and it's to harvest the sorghum and take it to the mill. And if we have a quick look at the map, we'll see that field 10 is right here, and we're pretty close by. Our place is right here, so it's literally just round the corner over the hill on the way that we would, on the road we would take down to the bakery. So that's interesting. And the grain mill we're delivering to is just here, so it's all very local and convenient, which was part of the attraction to Gille when he saw it. So we'll run around there now. So just out the back of town here, just down the hill from our place, and we should be, there's a little woodland here on our left hand side, and the field I think is just on the other side of it. So hopefully what we might do is just drop the header trailer just on the verge here. There we go. These cars like to park on top of you. Thing like making it a little bit difficult. But yeah, I think we need about 40,000 litres of grain, and I think the tank on this harvester is around about 10,000, so I'm hopeful that we don't need to do too many unloads. We'll load the first one up, see if we can get a couple of headlands cut, and then head back and we can just run up the hill. We can take a shortcut through the fields and grab the trailer and the tractor, and with any luck it shouldn't take us all that long to get through this at all. As I was saying, Gille's done a little bit of thinking about the nature of the challenge, and his engineering background helps him out a bit, along with just an interest in learning stuff in general. And what he was sort of thinking was, well, if I want to have $1 million for his mum Madeline in year 5, at the end of year 5, we're going to have to get the bakery working. So the requirement to have products running through the bakery is kind of the easiest one to fulfill, but the money target is the hard one. And in fact, the bakery on its own won't generate enough of an income for his mum's retirement, which is kind of why he's aiming for the cash bit. So the best way he thinks to think about it is he probably needs 2 years where he can average 40,000 a month income. And that will get him pretty close to the $1 million. So sort of that changes the nature of the problem a little bit to he's now got 3 years to figure out how to generate 40,000 a month income clear. And whilst that's still a pretty big challenge, it doesn't sound nearly as daunting to Gille, especially when you consider, so if we just pause there for a second, so if we now look at the bakery, and he's pretty sure he can run these lines independently, the best value regardless is the apple donuts here, and we've got 2 of the ingredients sort of covered. We've got to sort out the other 2, but if you look at it, 480 cycles a month makes 5 litres of donut. Well, that's 2,400 litres of donuts a month, and if we have a look in the pricing, 2,400 litres, and the average price, well, the best price is now, but seems to be up round, even if we said we only sort of got the average through the year at 2,000, that's still 5,000 a month. So it doesn't seem ridiculous to, and in fact we can see pretty easily where the first 5,000 comes from. That still wouldn't use all of the apples from the trees. So the first little bit looks doable. The problem is you've got to get over the hurdle to making or to finding a source of sugar, and that probably requires us doing some sort of deal with the sugar mill, which conveniently happens to be next door to the house, so proximity is easy, but it probably means we've got to generate some more money. So that's a start, and all that kind of led him backwards to say, well, okay, so let's get the mill up and running so we're producing some flour, because at least then we can make bread and be getting close to being able to make some cake, some donuts, and then we can think about what would it take to get some additional crops that start to give us a bigger return. So it's kind of feeling like bones of a plan are starting to emerge, and certainly the path he was on, getting a couple of cows established and getting, you know, something like this contract going so that he can get some chickens in the chicken coop. It just sort of feels like it puts them on the path in year 1 to getting the first 10,000, say, of that 40,000 a month dealt with. So that's kind of how he's breaking it down. So, you know, year 1, can we get a regular income up towards 10,000? What's that look like? And along the way, not get ourselves, you know, into debt or caught up on too many things that drag us down in year 2. So we're just coming up. We should make it to the end here. So we know we got round in a tank full. Let's pop the boom out and turn the header off, and we can go and get the trailer. So just ducking up the side of the hill here, that's the dairy just there on our right, just over the road from our place. Might just pop in. We can run up the side of our field. There's a little gate up here. We can jump the fence. Oh, that's where we left the windrower. And this is our mill on the way past. Was he right? You see that there's some pallets there. How heavy are they? Just out of curiosity. Oh, we can move them. These are pretty heavy darn pallets, 100 kilos a piece. Oof. A little bit of messing around. Are these the right sort to go in our garden would be the question. Be nice if we kind of, whoop, oof. Hard work. Here we go. Yeah, that looks like where they go. What's that do to us? So let's go have a look at our garden. And there we go. We've got some pallets. Now pallets are used really slowly by the looks, 0.01. So relative to the straw, that looks like we won't have to lug another one across. The question is, what are we going to make? Now, I think it's as simple as what's got the best value. Let's have a look at the... So red lettuce, best price 1800. Melons, 22.50. All the same part of the year, February. We won't have any much before that. So it's a similar sort of curve. I don't think lettuce are going to be any better. No, they're not any better. So let's go back to our recipes. Water's essentially free. So the only difference in the menus is a little bit of cycles. So I don't think we'll make regular lettuce. I reckon we'll go for the melon and see how it goes. Uses a little bit more water, but apart from that, let's just activate those and see what happens. There we go. So we've got the garden working, which is a good start. Seeing the apple trees there in the corner of our yard. There's an opportunity, of course, for Gille to plant some more apple trees. They run at about 15 or 1600 a piece. We can have a look while we're unloading the harvester. So the thing with apple trees is it's going to be a question of planting them early if we want to return in the 5-year period, if they want to be part of our income. So if we have a look at apple trees, apple trees are in orchards, yeah, 1500 a piece. They just take water, as you can see, and you can place them on land that you own. So we could put more apple trees in, but of course they make 300 litres a month. So over the course of a year, about 3,500 litres of fruit, and we're going to get best price 600. No, it's 650, so let's just say 600. So over the course of a year, we'd certainly pay for a tree, sort of 2/3 of a year. Let's get this second headland at this end, so we've got plenty of room to turn. So there is scope to put a couple more trees in if we want just a little bit of income. However, in year one, they're not really going to generate a huge uptick. And so, and we're not using the 5 trees that we've got yet. So Gille's thought is I might just stick with what I've got. We'll sell them until we've reached the point where we can make some donuts, and then we'll evaluate, do we pop in another tree from time to time just to nudge up that income. But it feels like what we might want to be doing before we go down that path is finding a way to get another piece of land so that we could potentially make more flour, for example. And speaking of flour, that's where he's keen. We've got the little mill. It doesn't take a heap of grain or produce a heap of flour, but it would get us started. The question he doesn't have the answer to is if we made a little plot in the grass meadow, how much would we produce? So what he's thinking is, we certainly appear to have more grass than we need for the minute, so perhaps it is appropriate to plant something and see if we can get some flour production going. And his thought is one of the grains that would also give some straw. So that sort of then gives us, means we don't have to buy for the gardens or the cows. So it narrows it down to wheat, barley or oats. We're just going to, if we just check the crop windows, of course, we're in the planting season. We've still got another month potentially to get barley and wheat in. So sometime in the next 6 weeks, we need to be getting that done. The advantage of getting it done earlier, particularly with barley, is we might just gain a little another month, because barley will be the first crop that's ripe to harvest. So that's a reason for trying to get the barley in sooner rather than later. But this field's coming along quite nicely. And that's coming up on half the crop off the field, which is promising. Gille's had a nagging thought in the back of his mind as he's been heading around doing the headlands here, that there was something he was supposed to do. He suddenly remembered, if we look at our field, we don't know anything about the soil, and so what he was going to do was ring up and get someone to come and test it, because if he's going to make some fields in here, understanding what our soil types are is important. And there we go. We can now see we've got a mix of silty clay loam and sandy loam. So that's tending to suggest, you can see where the garden is on the side, it's tending to suggest we should be putting a crop, if we want to put one in the right hand end of the field. So he needs to be keeping that in mind. And armed with that information, perhaps you can think about the best way to lay that out. Might have a bit of a look in a minute. Whoops. Let's pay attention. Go up and empty. It'll be just as easy to drive up and empty as it will to bring the trailer back down. I suspect that meant we weren't paying attention and that the trailer is actually full by weight. It is. So we need to take this down to the grain mill, which should be straightforward because it's just down the road behind us. And this will give us a sense of how much we need to deliver. And we can see we get 16,000 litres by weight in here. I'm pretty sure this is the grain mill just here coming up on the right hand side. The question is, where is the delivery point? It is the grain mill. Let's just check we're at the right spot. Take to the grain mill. Excellent. It looks like the bin over there ahead of us. So 16,000 litres delivered. How much? 31%. So we need 3 trailer loads. Possibly just over. Just coming up on a full tank here, so it will work out fairly nicely. We can 98, 99, and that'll be 100. Let's just duck up and grab the trailer. It's filling up nicely. Still a reasonable amount of crop, so it's too early to judge how much we'll have for ourselves. Hopefully enough to get a couple of chickens. There we go. Unload that lot. This should take us up to a little over 60% delivered. 62%. Unfortunately, the next one won't quite get there. So we will need to come back here a 4th time. We'll have to be careful not to tip it all. So the trailer's not badly positioned. We'll do an unload here. The light is starting to fade fairly steadily. It's been a great day for us. But we should get this done. And any other chores that were on Gille's list, I might have time to see how we go. It depends really how much grain we're left with as to whether you can get some chickens in the coop or not. Certainly the remainder of this field will be down this end, so that will help. So that should pretty much fill the trailer, and we know we've got to go one more time. We've got the lights on now, so we'll just do a quick run down to the mill with this load and come back and finish it off. In fact, we'll just fill the harvester. Just can't quite see out the back. I'm guessing there's less than 10,000 litres left on the field, so let's get the dark work done, or the daylight work done, I should say. It wasn't badly judged. I guess what Gille's learnt now is this field's on the limit of what he's capable of in a day on his own. He needs to start a little bit earlier if he wants to get done in daylight. And that it's a bit of a balancing act in terms of contracts, which, you know, bring some good money in, but also working up their own holdings to make sure they can generate their own income. So I'm guessing there'll be a few experiments of that nature in the coming year. But we just about got all this crop off here now. There's one little smidge we missed there. Drive to the edge of the road. Put the boom out. Turn the reel off. There we go. So we're going to be just short, I think. Or maybe 93% transported. How much does it want? Little contract says 2,300 litres, so we are going to have a couple of thousand for us, which is feeling like an opportunity for chickens. Potentially enough to keep a few chickens active and breeding through till we get our own opportunity to produce a crop, I think. So if we judge it right, we should have almost 4,000 litres for ourselves. Turn the harvester off. We set the tip to grain door so we don't tip out too quickly. And try and stop as close as we can. 4,000 left in the tank. Let's see. And we did 4,125. We'll take that. Let's head back up and put it in our chicken coop. We might just come in this gate at the bottom of the field here, I think. On the way back, Gille got a call from his mother wanting to know, as mothers do, when he was planning on coming home for dinner. He did point out that he's been working, but nonetheless she was more interested in feeding him, so nice problem to have. Let's just see, where do we pop this grain in here? Whoops, right there. With any luck, and hopefully it'll take the whole 4,000. It did not. So because it didn't, I think we're going to put the rest into our mill over here and use it to make some flour. And whilst it might mean that tree appears to have sprouted in just the wrong spot there, what happens when you don't tend the garden? Let's see if we can thread the needle. We'll need to open the cover. Hopefully that's not rusted closed. No. Looks promising. There's not much we can do with that. That'll need a little bit of maintenance, I think, before we can run it for next time. But that does mean that we've got a finished contract. We'll give them a call and you can take the equipment back in the morning. But for now, we can finish up the contract and collect some money. It's nice to finish the day with roughly what we started with, but with a few things dealt with. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe. See ya.